Hello and welcome to today's Hangout, BIM 360 Field, how to leverage QR codes. This Hangout is brought to you by Live Lab Learning, which is a subsidiary of Academic Corp, a wholly owned applied software company, and it's created to provide world-class training. This is Zach Spillers, and I'm delighted to be your moderator today. And throughout our presentation, we do encourage you to interact with us by typing in questions and comments using the questions pane that you'll see there. And we'll be answering the majority, hopefully all of them, but if we can't get to all of them, the majority of them at the end of the presentation. And this webinar is being recorded and will be available to you online on our YouTube channel. We will also send you an email following the webinar with a link to the recording. And next slide. And if you haven't already, search Live Lab Learning on Facebook and like our page to receive the latest information and special offers. And when you visit our website, livelablearning.com, there is a complete schedule of upcoming training as well. Next slide. And we also have some webinars coming up we'd like you to take notice of. We have Introduction to BEC Technology, Destiny Pre-Construction Suite. That's Wednesday, January 20th from 12:30 to 1:30, as all of our webinars are. And we also have Scan to BIM, Utilize Real-Time Point Cloud Data to Eliminate Costly Construction Mistakes. And that's Thursday on the 21st from 12:30 to 1:30 as well. We also, on our next slide, we'll show you some events we have coming up that is put on by our construction technology group at Applied Software. And we do have a BIM and Beer in Dallas on Thursday, February 18th, and that's from 5:30 to 8:30. Those are really great events. We have the majority of our referral partners there as well, free beer and food, and lots of trends and technologies going on in construction. So we hope to see you there if you're in the area. And then on the next slide, as you'll see, if you follow the Q&A, or excuse me, following the Q&A at the end of the webinar, we will give away a $25 gift card. You must be present to win the gift card, and so when we choose the winner and call your name out, please type into the window pane at the end if you're still available so we can get you that gift card, and that'll be sent out after the webinar as well. And so on the next slide here, I'm going to talk a little bit about our presenter. The gentleman's name is Clinton Cook, and well, excuse me, no slide, but Clinton he comes to us from the contractor trade. So not only is he educated in construction, if you will, from Auburn University's building science program, but he also spent a lot of time working for a large contractor and doing a lot of things that he's going to be talking about today. So and I'll let him introduce himself and tell himself a little bit about his past here in a second, but he is also our implementation specialist, and does a little bit of pre-sales demonstrations and things like that as well. So chances are some of y'all know Clinton, but if you don't and you end up purchasing from us or working with us, he'll be one of the guys you talk to, or if you end up showing interest and seeing a demonstration, he could possibly be that guy as well. So Clinton, I'll let you take the floor, man. Good luck, and let you talk a little bit about your past before you get going.
All right, I appreciate it, Zach. Hey guys, sorry it seems like there's a little bit of a delay on the webinar, so hopefully we won't have any technical difficulties during this presentation. But our agenda today, we're going to be going over effectively using QR codes in the field with BIM 360 software. And what we're going to talk about is the difference between a QR code and a barcode, the different workflows. So I'll show you an example of a workflow that has QR code integration versus a workflow that does not. We'll establish the QR codes for equipment and locations. We'll show you how to print your QR codes and take them in the field. And we'll talk a little bit about when it makes sense to make the investment in a dedicated label printer and dedicated software. So having said that, we'll transition into our slides today. So as we talked about in the agenda, we're going to discuss a little bit about the QR code and barcodes, if you'll see here on the left side of my screen. So the difference is in BIM 360 field, it supports both barcodes and QR codes. It supports code 39, code 128, Codabar, 1D barcodes, QR codes, or 2D barcodes. So there's some obvious distinctions between a barcode and a QR code. The barcode is a series of vertical lines separated by alternating spaces, which represents an alphanumeric string, while a QR code is also a visual representation of alphanumeric string. It's a series of boxes, which made up in a square is a visual representation of that. So the advantage of a QR code over a barcode is that a QR code is typically limited to roughly 20 digits. If we start getting longer than 20 digits, the barcode tends to get a lot lengthier and a lot harder to manage on a label, whereas a QR code, because a QR code stores information not only in the vertical axis but also in the horizontal axis. It can store up to 7,000 digits with no problem. And the main advantage with a QR code when using BIM 360 field is that the QR code does a lot better, or the camera on the iPad does a lot better at recognizing a QR code versus a barcode. What we found with the barcode is that if you use a low-quality inkjet printer, sometimes when you have a small barcode, you have bleed over between the lines, and the iPad has a hard time picking up and distinguishing that as a barcode, whereas with the QR code, we haven't seen a lot of those problems. Another advantage to the QR code, in testing we've been able to actually use the camera on the iPad to scan the QR code, and we've been able to get that QR code down to as little as 3/8 by 3/8 of an inch. So it's going to be a tiny barcode that you can put just about anywhere. I wouldn't recommend going that low, but it is possible. But an inch by an inch, similar to this size, is fine, or even as small as this size. This is what I'm going to demonstrate off of today. But a QR code this small, the iPad has no problem picking it up. So as you begin to think about implementing QR code versus barcode, we highly recommend the QR code just for the advantages that I talked about. So in BIM 360 field, they allow you to use a QR code to link to a location or a piece of equipment. In this example here, we've created a label which includes a little bit of branding for ourselves. So if you're a general contractor, replace your QR code with some branding. And then we also provide additional information that comes from a field software. So in this case, this QR code is a direct link to the main level 1, room 731-226, men's restroom. And we've provided this information on this label that's going to be placed in the field so that our trade staff, hopefully it'll help promote communication among them when they're trying to tell a superintendent, hey, I was in this room, and they weren't sure what room it was. They can quickly look at the label with a QR code and see what room they're in so that they can more effectively communicate that with the superintendent. And so we're just adding additional data points on our project, both for the user of BIM 360 field or all the way down to the actual tradesman installing the product. And the same goes with our equipment as well. So here's a label that we made for the equipment. Looks very similar, except for in this case, we're actually providing and saying, okay, it's a EF2, and it's an exhaust fan 2, and it's in the fire pump room. So if you can think in a situation where you have equipment arriving on site, as you get it off the truck, you figure out what it is, place a label on it, and potentially you could ask your trade staff, hey, go find everything that's supposed to go in the fire pump room. And without having an iPad, they could go over there and they could look and see that, hey, this goes in the fire pump room, I need to get it transported over there. And as it gets transported there, the user in BIM 360 field could simply scan it. It would take them directly to that object in the software, and then they could update any number of pieces of information about that object. So you have to think of QR codes as a physical version of a hyperlink. So just like you would get a hyperlink in your email, it would be, blue colored text. You click on it, it's going to take you directly to the web page that you need to see and nothing else. In the same way, the QR code in the physical world, when you see a QR code, you know that you're prompted, hey, I need to scan this with something, and it's going to take me somewhere that I need to go. In this case, it's going to take me directly to the record that I'm looking for inside of my field software. So having said that, I'll walk through kind of both examples. I'm going to walk through a workflow right now where I'm going to show you how we would go about creating an issue inside of field and navigating to that issue in the proper room and placing it there without the QR code. And then I'll show you how we're going to do that same thing with a QR code. And you'll see there's a lot fewer clicks with a QR code, and it's a lot more efficient, and you're basically guaranteed to get the right room every time. So there is a little bit of a lag in here, so I apologize if it's a little slow or glitchy as I'm going through this on the iPad, but I'll try to explain and narrate it the best I can as we go. So on the iPad, when I click the bottom here, so most of y'all, I'm assuming, are familiar with Field. If not, you could probably go onto our YouTube channel and familiarize yourself a little bit more with it. But we've selected issues. Currently, I'm in the equipment module. I'm going to have to go to the issues. And here, I'm going to have to navigate to my actual men's restroom. So I've already clicked, let's say, once, twice, and now I'm headed, I got to dive down and get to the men's restroom. Well, I'm already here at the men's restroom. That was 5 clicks to get there. And now you can see that the issues are filtered by every issue that's in the men's restroom. It shows me here exactly what they are and what the status of each of them are. So it took me 5 to 6 clicks to get there. Now, if I do the same process except for with a QR code, I'm going to go to my barcode scanner, and I'll actually take my barcode scanner, trying to wait for I'll take my barcode scanner, and I'll just scan the QR code, and the QR code is going to take me directly to that record. So in one scan, I can get to that record. No, there's no 5 clicks. It's literally scan it, and it takes me directly to the record. So I'll show you that again, except for this time I'm going to go to equipment. I'll start in the equipment module of field, and we'll go from there. So wait for it to refresh here. So hang on one second. It looks like it's not refreshing. There we go. So now you can see that I'm in the equipment module and field. In the same way, no matter where I am in the field software, I simply take it, go to the barcode scanner, turn the barcode scanner on, and then scan that piece of equipment, scan the QR code, and it takes me directly to the main level, room 731226 of the men's restroom. And you can see here that we have pins on the right-hand side that are associated with it. So if I click on the pins tab in the top, I've paired this with a crop region for this project, and what it'll do is it'll take me directly to the men's restroom, where I can see where all of those issues are located. And you can see that I have all my locations set up inside of the library, and I can navigate from here. So if we go back to the list view, I'll show you how this works on the equipment side as well. So now we're back at the Issues tab. I want to navigate to our EF2 exhaust fan. To do that, I'm going to click on the equipment portion, and now I have to find EF2 by scrolling through the equipment section. So let's find, I'm going to sort by name. So to find EF2, I just now identified EF2, fire pump room. So it took me a little bit to search through that. Now you got to keep in mind that this is also a pretty small project. So I've only got maybe 50 pieces of equipment, and I also only have maybe 50 locations. This becomes really effective and you start leveraging this when you get into larger projects. We had a project in Manhattan that was the project team, it was 15 stories. There were 3 wings on the building, and it was a set of luxury condo on the Hudson River. And so they had over 1,500 locations, and it took them almost 6 clicks to navigate all the way to the project level. And what they were finding was that their superintendents were having trouble keeping up with clicking down when they create issues. And what they did was they went through and we QR coded the entire building, and the superintendents became very aware that, hey, anytime I enter a room, I need to walk up to the QR code, scan it, and then I can start creating issues. And their accuracy on the issues that were created increased almost by double, and they were basically getting 100% accuracy on every issue that they created. So it becomes very effective when you're looking at it on a large scale. And on a small scale, the level of effort that's taken required to get this up and going is very minimal. So it makes sense on any size project. But now if we're going to go back and we're going to scan the QR code, it's going to take us, no matter where we're at in the field, it's going to take us directly to that piece of equipment, EF2. So you can see me, I scan it, and then it's going to take me directly there. So that's the advantage of it, is that you get the right record every time. You don't have to shuffle around. You don't have to do any additional work to get there, and you know you're on the right one each time. So there's some at Autodesk University this year, there's some contractors talking about a case study where they actually teamed with the door hardware manufacturer and had them place the QR codes for them in the factory, so that when the door hardware arrived on site, it was available for them to just scan it and check it in, which could be a huge advantage. So now that we've kind of gone through the workflow, and I think you can see the advantage of using a QR code, it eliminates a lot of clicks. It also helps promote the accuracy, because you're going to get it right every single time, and you don't have to fumble through trying to find the right record. I'm going to show you exactly how we set that up on the BIM 360 field website. So it appears there's still a little bit of a lag, so I apologize. All right, so now it's refreshed on the BIM 360 website. What we're going to want to do is we're going to navigate to the project admin page. So if you're not a project admin, you'll need to give permission, project admin right, to make this happen on the location side. Okay. So now we navigate to the locations. Once we get to the locations, you'll see that we've got our hierarchy here on the left, and we've got our barcodes, which we've named LOC_0002, and we just keep that in sequential order all the way down. So the reason we put the prefix LOC on here is because we're also going to need a prefix for the equipment. And on the equipment prefix, we're going to put in a EQU underscore, and we're going to start with 0001 or 2, and we're just going to pull that down sequentially. So the way it works is you essentially click on the import locations button, and you'll click the download sample. So you're going to go to this window, import locations. You'll click on download sample, and then from the download sample, you'll essentially get a sample that looks similar to the spreadsheet I'm showing here. So here you can see that we have the path we've created for our import, and we have the barcode. So it's very easy to create these barcodes. You simply put in the top one, and you grab the handle on the far right corner, and you just drag it down, and it'll fill in the sequential order for you. And I recommend, whether you plan on using barcodes or QR codes on any project, this is a best practice. Always set up your barcodes and QR codes so that you can easily come back to them later and reference them if you decide to use them. It's not going to affect anything if you have them in the system. So once you do that, you'll just come back to your BIM 360 field site. You'll save that file as a database. You'll choose the file, and then you'll click Start Import, and you'll end up getting a screen similar to this, and you can see that all that information is imported in. So now that we've got that information in there, we've got it set up for our locations, but we need to go ahead and get it set up for our equipment as well. And it's a very similar process. So we're going to go back. We're going to leave the project admin portion of this of BIM 360 field, and we're going to go to the front end, where we're going to look at the equipment side. All right, so wait for this to load. All right, so now we've got the equipment side here open, and it's going to be a similar process. So we're going to click on the import button, and from the import, we're actually going to click on download sample. We'll get a sample set that comes in. From that sample set, we're going to fill it out the way that it has described, making sure to fill out our barcode in a similar fashion. And then once we do that, we'll save it and we'll import it in. And you'll see that once we have it imported in, just like we have here, you're going to have EQU0001 as our barcode. And as you fill out all your barcodes, the next piece of equipment that you put in, you'll just keep it in sequential order. You want to make sure that all your barcodes are set up as a unique identifier. So there needs to be no other barcode with the same name. Once we've done that, we'll just want to, now we've got all this information inside a field, we're going to want to extract all this information into a spreadsheet. So it'll be just by clicking on the Export All button, it'll give us all this information, and we'll get a spreadsheet similar to this. Except for this spreadsheet will have, when you originally export, it's going to have all the columns in it. All I did was go in here and delete the columns that I didn't feel like I would need on my labels, and left the ones that I did want. And I saved it as equipment DB. From here, we're going to go and we're going to use the Avery software because it's a free software. A lot of projects, it's typically a tight job, and they don't want to invest the money into a dedicated label printer and then the software to operate that. So typically what we tell our job sites is, hey, go to the office supply store, pick up a label there, and use this free software, and at least get started using it. And if it proves to have a good return on your investment, then you can upgrade later. So what we try to tell people to do is just to start out is you go to avery.com, and these are the QR codes that are the labels that I've been recommending. It's a 22828. It's an 1 1/4 by 1 3/4. These are removable and durable, so they're water resistant, and they are removable. Avery has thousands of different label types. Some are permanent, some are removable. You really just need to choose which one is best for you. And also keep in mind that if you are doing something like trying to work with using QR codes for door hardware, you're going to want to probably, if that's going to be exposed to the sun or the weather, you want to look at investing into a dedicated label maker and a dedicated software for that. Just because you'll be able to have a lot more options in your labels. You can get vinyl labels that won't be affected by the rain or the sun, but it is going to be a little bit of investment of money. The last time we priced it, it was somewhere between, I think it was like $1,500 and $2,000, and that included a printer, a dedicated printer, a pack of labels, the resin that goes with that, and the software to print to those printers. So it is a little bit of an investment, but this is a great way to get started, learn how to do it for little or nothing. But the process, regardless, is the same. So even if you're using a dedicated software such as what's the name of it, Wasp Labeler or Bartender, you're still going to do the exact same process with those softwares as well. So now that we're here, we'll take you into the Avery Design and Print Online and show you this portion of how you actually generate these QR codes and get them to a label so that you can go into the field and apply them in the field. Again, sorry for the delay on the screen there. So you can see here we're just at avery.com, and if you aren't signed up for avery.com, go ahead and make you an account. And then I am, so I'll go ahead and open my Avery. And here you can see some of my recent projects that have been stored. So here's a project that I made for the applied equipment and the applied location. You can see our branding here, and this is using that 1¼ by 1¾ label. If you're starting out brand new, all you do is just follow the wizard. It says, ask you to start a new project. It asks you to type in your Avery label number, and then you'll probably select the blank label, and then you'll go into the actual design software, which I'm just going to skip directly to, and you'll see how easy this software is to use. We find that this software is much easier to train, easier to use. It takes 10 minutes for someone to figure it out, whereas the dedicated label maker software typically takes a lot longer to get your head around. They're a lot more robust, and typically more robust than most projects actually need. So we try to just get people started by using this Avery label maker. So let's wait on this to load 1 second. Okay, so you can see here that I now have the label up that I created, and all you do here is on the left-hand side, they allow you to insert different shapes, sequential numbers, import data, arrange. All your tools are over here. So if I were to click add a text box, you'll see that text box just simply pops up on my screen, and I can now drag and drop it anywhere that I want to. And it's just that easy. And then you would just format your text and everything here the way you want, and you're basically done. So I've essentially dragged and dropped all these items onto here and saved this as a My Avery file, and we have it here. So this is where the important part comes in. So that part's all easy, and really it's all easy, but this is the part that you're really wanting to see. So we're essentially going to use a mail merge to create our names and descriptions. And so what we want to do is we want to click on a text box. Once we've clicked on a text box where it has import data, you're going to go to the mail merge portion of that. And we're going to go back. We're on step 3 right here, arrange fields. I'm going to go back to the beginning of this wizard here. So when you go to start mail merge, it's going to say browse for file. I'll browse for that file, and I'm going to select the equipment database that I selected earlier, and I'll hit open. Now that I've hit open, it's going to take me to going to load the page, and it's going to take me to this screen. From here, all I do is simply select the items that I want available for the mail merge. In this case, I'm going to uncheck this box if you do not want to print the first row, so I'll uncheck that box. And then I also go in here and select the things that I don't want. So these are the columns from my equipment database that I saved earlier. I'll uncheck status. I'm not interested in that, and it appears that the location path is blank, so I don't want that in my mail merge. And then from here, I'm just going to click next. All right, and once we get here, it's just as simple as dragging your name. That's what I want on there, and I also want the description in that text box. So I drag these two over, and again, I simply hit next, and it's going to go through, and it's going to populate on each one of the labels for every row. It's going to populate the text that was in that row. So you can see here that now I have IH1, gravity intake, hooded roof, and if we go over to this portion here, you can see that as I select on each one, it's populating the description below. So as we talked about before, a barcode or a QR code is simply a visual representation of some text. So what we want to do is we want to make sure that this QR code is the visual representation of the correct text. So in the same way, we just want to simply click on the QR code, and it'll provide us some options over here to the left, where we can click on Edit QR Code or Edit Barcode, and it's going to bring up a window. And in this window, you can see that you have plenty of options, right? So when you first start out and you enter a barcode, it's going to put you probably on the code bar or code 128, and you're actually going to want to scroll down and click QR code. Once you click QR code, it's going to have the option for text, email, URL, phone number. I'm not sure what a me card is, but in the text section, you're going to want to mail merge your barcode column. So for every row on each one, it's going to create a different QR code based on the row that you're on. So we just want to slide the barcode over into this text content box. And once it's been slid over there, all we're going to do is hit finish. And now we've completed our mail merge, and all of our QR codes are ready to go. And you can see as I select each one, they change both the QR code and the text change with it. So now it's as simple as saving. I recommend you first save your file. And you just save it, and it'll ask you if you want to save to a My Avery or a save to your desktop. And you can actually save the file to your desktop and mail it out to someone, and they also can open up My Avery and import that in. So if you have a standard template that you've worked on, you can share that with colleagues or other project teams. So you can see here, this is essentially the last step of the process. Just review your labels, make sure they're right, and then obviously you're going to stick your labels in your printer. And then from here, you'll just hit print the ones you want to see. And from there, you've got all of your labels now that you can take out into the field and start placing them out on the job site. So I've seen people track their fire extinguisher inspections with this, VAV boxes, large air handling units. We've also seen, obviously, locations is the biggest one, and that makes the most sense. We have project teams that will maintain these from the time they get their framing up all the way through final completion of the job, to where they literally just put a piece of painter's tape on the wall, stick this over it to make sure that they don't have any problems, and they just run with it all the way till the end of punch list. But hopefully the lag in the go-to meeting wasn't too bad that it took away from the meeting and you understood everything. But I think now we could probably open it up to questions if there are any. Zach, have you been monitoring that?
Absolutely, absolutely. We got some questions. We do have some questions. So one good one that came in towards the beginning is, do you have a choice whether to print your own QR codes or use QR codes that come with the actual equipment?
Okay, so that's a good question, and the answer is you can utilize the QR codes that come with the actual equipment. But keep in mind, what we found is that a lot of QR codes or barcodes, for instance, a barcode on a door frame, you're going to have maybe 100 3070 door frames in your project, and each one of those barcodes is going to, the alphanumeric string behind it is going to be the exact same. So you may map one to that door, but then you go to map another one, and it's going to be the exact same issue. So they're not going to have unique values, so it's going to be difficult for you to, where there's a repeating product, it's going to be difficult for you to utilize those efficiently. I can show you, I think I can show you here if I can get everything up. So I think, I haven't tried this, but I'm pretty sure this will work. So if there was one on site and I wanted to utilize it, you can see here that it'll ask you when you scan it, this code was not mapped to anything. And when you scan it, it's gonna allow you to actually place the information in the barcode field for a piece of equipment, in which case you could then reference it again. So I'm trying to think of one that would work. So this B3 boiler, let me see if I can utilize that. So if I click on that and map it to there, you'll see that that QR code, let me wait for it to, looks like it's refreshing here. So right there, when I scanned it, you can see that that screen came up, and from there I'm going to select B3, and that will actually map that QR code to B3. All right, and then it's going to take me to the B3 screen here, right? And what you'll see is that when I get down to the barcode section, it's going pretty slow here. All right, it doesn't look like it's coming up, but when I get to the barcode section, there it is. You can see that our barcode is YKART, which was representative of the alphanumeric string that this barcode was represented by. So I've now mapped it. If I scan that QR code again, it would take me right here. But remember, if you have multiple QR codes or barcodes that are the same for like a 3070 door, then you're not going to have a unique value for each one of those you map to. So that's just something to be aware of.
Awesome. Awesome. All right. You ready for another one, Clinton? We got a couple more.
Yes, go ahead.
All right. So can you import barcodes to BIM 360 field after locations have been imported?
I would have to say that it would be very difficult because it doesn't allow you to export those out and then import them back in. Most likely you would have to go through one by one. If you want to, we can, whoever wrote that question, we could go on and double check on a test project or something for you just to make sure, or help you kind of strategize and find out the easiest way to go about doing that. And that's another reason that I just recommend always put your barcode information in there at the beginning. And in my opinion, it should be a requirement because it is very difficult to later go in and do locations. Now, just to go ahead and preempt the question about equipment, that doesn't necessarily apply to equipment. There is a workaround and a way to get your barcodes associated with equipment at a later date. It's a little in depth, so I'm not going to go through it on this webinar, but there is a ability to do that. So if you need to reach out to us to talk to us about that, we can probably help you with that.
Awesome. Thanks, Clinton. You may have asked or answered this already, but I want to make sure it gets touched on again. Does this require any extra equipment besides the actual Avery labels? Going back to that.
No, it doesn't. Like I said, if you are going to use it for something that's going to sit out in the weather, you probably want to look closely first at your Avery label options. They do have some that are quote-unquote weatherproof, but if you're printing a lot of them and it's kind of a critical issue, you are probably going to want to look at investing into a dedicated label maker.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Have you actually seen anyone place the labels on materials heading to the job site in the factory?
Yeah, so we actually have a client that builds these precast panels, and we've worked with them to actually integrate this. It's a subcontractor, but they're using the BIM 360 field software, and we actually have them working on the front end in their factory as they build this equipment. They print off a QR code and place it on the actual piece. They update that QR, they scan it right there, and they update the status of that piece of equipment to en route, and then they take that piece of equipment and ship it off to the job site, which is a couple of states away. And their own team, their subcontractors, they receive the piece of equipment, they scan it, and they update the status to arrive, and then they potentially will update it to damaged. And it provides a really good communication flow for that team, and they've seen a pretty significant increase in efficiency within their organization. But there's no reason. I personally haven't seen a project team using it to track door frames in that way, but I have seen case studies for both McCarthy and Turner Construction that have used it and done it successfully.
Very nice. Very nice. How long does it take to populate all of these labels?
It's really not difficult if you did the preparation and the front end for your locations. You know, it adds literally 30 seconds before you import. You just put that LOC underscore and then the first sequence of numbers and then drag it down. So it's only 30 seconds on the front end to create it, and the same goes with equipment. And then as far as the process I just showed you, I would give yourself an hour to an hour and a half the first time because you're going to kind of be working through the process. And then after that, if you ever need to update it or anything, you could literally probably breeze through it in 30 minutes to 45 minutes or less.
Awesome. Very cool. Huge savings there. Let's see. Does this work with other QR code reading apps?
So the answer would be no, because the QR code, which is basically a hyperlink, you have to use the QR code reader that's inside of Field. If you don't use the QR code reader inside of Field and you use a generic QR code reader, it's simply going to translate the image to whatever that whatever's behind it, so that alphanumeric string again. Just like in here, when we put it in, it actually placed the alphanumeric string, which was blockade ART. That's what your the generic app would actually show you. So it wouldn't link to it unless you're using the BIM 360 field software.
Makes perfect sense. Well, that's all the questions that we had fired in today, or had fired in, so that's all, man. And so now we get to pick the lucky gift card winner, and that winner is Michael Bugby. So Michael, if you're there, confirm by typing into the chat box, and congratulations to you, man. And guys, we really appreciate you hanging out with us today, and we hope you did find this Hangout informative and helpful to your business, as it has been to some of our customers. So we look forward to seeing you on our next Hangout, guys. And that next Hangout is, Clinton, if you don't mind, I think you just passed it. If you don't mind going back, I can't get the date off the top of my head.
Sorry.
No, it's all right. No worries, man. No worries at all.
Well,
the beauty of a live webinar. let's see, there you go, one more.
I don't think it's in here.
It's okay, no worries. But it's in, let's see, it was in the end of January. We'll email out the end of the next Hangout, guys, but we apologize about that. So thank you so much, guys, and y'all have a great day, and congratulations again to Michael. Thanks for attending. Bye-bye.
All right, bye.